we kind of want to break down the wide receivers of this 2020 NFL draft class because there was a plethora of talent, not just night one, going into night two, but then even day three of just the next level of wide receivers coming into the league. So, want to talk to you, gentlemen. Who do you feel? And I would say, we can kind of do one and one, if you will, or we'll go round robin, whatever. Give me the guy who you think is, basically he was chosen in the right round for his team and is going to have an instant impact. A guy who might be a sleeper and a guy who might be a bust.
If we're going to do this, we need to do this correctly because there's a lot of wide receivers and we do not have the time.
Okay. All right. So
sleeper.
How you want to do it, Alex?
All right. Top notch, who we think is going to excel. Sleeper, bust.
Got it.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And if we limit the content, I believe we could do maybe 2 round robins because we can't go on 5-6 minutes on one person.
Okay.
All right. Mike, floor is yours.
I'm gonna can the bust thing right now because, and here's my theory. I'm not waffling on it, but I have no busts as of now because it is so deep to our point that if some dudes are going to put up just ginormous numbers because of where they landed, and I think that just because a certain other receiver doesn't, I'm not going to say anybody's a bust. So I will keep mine short on the bust because I'm not picking any bust. My sleeper, man, damn. Okay. I think my sleeper is my guy, and I'm not taking the easy way out, but I did say he'd be in the first round, and it would shock a lot of people, is Brandon Ayuk. Because you lose the Niners, again, I think Jimmy Garoppolo, as much as I do not like to compliment this team, as Eric well knows, it's a very painful thing.
Yeah.
But Kyle Shanahan, the fact that they showed they can run the ball, I mean, yes, it was a pathetic Packers defense, but to Brandon Ayuk, what he speed-wise, how much he just developed his routes too. He got so much better, and he wasn't bad route running, that I think he is my sleeper for the receivers because he didn't get the attention of a CeeDee Lamb, of a Jerry Jeudy, of a Henry Ruggs. And it's one of those things where when you see it and the fact that he can return punts, I mean, and you got Debo on the other side, Kyle Shanahan's going to figure a way to work that out. That's one thing we can, I think, agree on about Kyle Shanahan is that his offense will be creative enough to get him the ball. And, is he going to return punts? We'll see. But Ayuk's definitely my sleeper.
All right. Alex, you want to take this one or you want me to go?
I have quite a few, so how about you go ahead and go?
Okay. So the one guy who I think a lot of people potentially may be sleeping on, and my reason for saying this is because, this team has kind of self-proclaimed themselves to be champions in the past, referring to UCF. I'm actually going with Gabriel Davis from UCF.
Ooh, you stole mine.
He went to our boy Mookie's Buffalo Bills, but I've had an opportunity living here to watch this young man. And I think the tape really doesn't do him a lot of justice. My point with him is I feel like he is a guy, and now that even though they've added Stephon Diggs, you put this young man in the slot at 6'2", 216, and watch what he's capable of. He is my sleeper that I think a lot of people need to pay attention to. That's Gabriel Davis, UCF.
I like that.
Alex?
All right. I'm going to go with sleepers, and then I'm going to go with bust. I got a lot of sleepers. People are sleeping on Denzel Mims, and I don't know why people are sleeping on Denzel Mims.
Oh,
people are sleeping on Denzel Mims. Mike, people are sleeping on Denzel Mims. Okay. His first year as a freshman, he had a total of 6 catches for 24 yards. Matt Rule shows up, Then all of a sudden, his sophomore and senior year, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. And he averaged 8 touchdowns from his sophomore, junior, and senior year. But everybody said it was the system. Now he lands in New York. I mean, hell, if Flacco can get a job, how bad can Darnold be? But they are desperately lacking speed. They're desperately lacking speed and coordination at that position. Because I'll tell you right now, Rashard Perriman is not the answer. I believe Denzel Mims is going to turn some heads and prove that he's a number 1 receiver. A number 1, or at least a sleeper, that people aren't paying attention to, Chase Claypool. Guys, I'm tired of bringing up this man's name and him not getting the respect he deserves. Abbotsford.
Uh-oh. We lost
52 catches,
okay,
4 touchdowns. You know, not bad, not bad. His senior year, after he figures things out and starts using his body, 66 catches, 1,037 yards, 13 touchdowns. Guys, you can't ignore numbers like that. That's real. And he lands in a system in Pittsburgh where they desperately need an outside receiver because Juju is better in the slot. And he's able to see the number 2 because number 1 has to pay attention to Juju. He's going to be beating down corners and safeties because he's bigger than your safety and he can outrun your corner. Last but not least, when it comes to the sleepers, you might think I'm crazy on this one, but KJ Hill. Los Angeles Chargers have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Okay, fine. We know Keenan Allen is an excellent route runner. Mike Williams, possession receiver, big, coming out of Clemson. KJ Hill fits the mold just perfectly. He's going to be seeing the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the coverage. And if he's as advertised, he's going to be open a lot. Look for Tyrod Taylor to take some deep shots because KJ Hill is going to be burning some secondaries.
All right, before we go to bus, let's talk about a guy who we think is going to have an instant impact, a guy who is NFL ready, day one, to step onto the field, play with his team, and have an instant impact. And you only get one guy. So, Mike, back up to you.
Well, that's why I'm respectfully, I see what Alex is saying with Mims, but that's why I say East Coast, West Coast bias, because I'll tell you what, Mims is a name in the beginning of the season, even at camp at ASU, talking to some scouts that were out there, it was a name brought up a lot because, and I agree with you, Alex, Matt Rule, but Denzel Mims was my guy, I think. Again, I like to be a total homer and say Brandon Ayuk, but I think Denzel Mims ends up having the biggest season, having the biggest numbers. So, again, when he accumulates them, we'll see. But, I mean, I love what under Matt Rule, and I think coaches understand, and he is a weapon that's ridiculous. I know Jake was pretty high on him too, but, yeah, Denzel Mims to me, I mean, I know I was big on, Ruggs running a 4.27, but that's why I was going with Mims. I like your boy from UCF, Eric, though, more as, like you're right, as a sleeper, but I think Mims is actually going to have the biggest of the breakout years, which, again, with this class, it could be by, millimeters is the difference, basically. So I'm with Mims right there, putting up the biggest numbers because, I mean, what Matt Rule and the offense did, if you use the kid right, he's got the speed. I think his route running got better. In the Big 12, there's a lot of freelance in the defense, so I know that was some people's questions, but raw talent and what he can do, I'll take Mims.
All right, Alex, who you got as your guy, day one, stepping in, instant impact?
If you forgive me, I have two.
Nope, you got one. That's it. You got to pick one.
No.
That's
one,
it.
Alex. Come on.
You only get one. You only get one, brother.
Okay. Then
because I think because whoever you pick, I think I got the other one. But go ahead.
All right, fine, fair enough. Guys, Henry Ruggs. He was the first wide receiver taken off the board for a reason because speed kills. And as I mentioned before in other podcasts and other shows, the one thing Oakland was missing, well, Vegas now, speed. They were missing a number one. Tyrell Williams is a possession receiver. He's a bully. He's going to get you on the block because he's bigger than you. if they had speed at the wide receiver position, David Carr's average yards per throw wouldn't be 7.9. Look for John Gruden to set up deep routes and go routes because the secondary is going to get lazy. They're going to try to come in and stop the run because Jacobs is a monster, and look for Ruggs with his blazing speed to just torch people. And look at the corners in the AFC West. Other than the Chargers, the rest of those corners are garbage. Look for Ruggs to make an impact immediately.
Okay.
Garbage. That's a shot fired there, sir.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he does. Come on now, let the man have his moment. So let me give you my guy. Alex, I have a question to ask you because, you know, you were the guy I always go to when it comes to numbers, and you quick on the draw with these stats. But the other guy I think you picked, here are his 2019 stats. He had 111 receptions, 1,540 yards, and 18 touchdowns.
Justin Jefferson.
Yes, sir. That is my guy. That is my guy to come in and have an instant impact in Minnesota day one, because I want you to think about it like this. Now, yes, Mr. 9-22-1 Matt Patricia is trying to create something of a Detroit defense, but we've seen what this young man can do. First off, 92.3% of his contested targets have been highlighted. Please understand what I'm saying to you. Highlighted his ability to go over defensive backs and make receptions. If we just take the NFC North alone, just take that division alone, Justin Jefferson is going to be a thorn in the Lions, Packers, and Bears proverbial side. This is a guy who caught 30 passes for 448 yards and 5 touchdowns in the SEC championship game and 2 college playoff games combined last year. All right? He's well-rounded. He's ready to go. When you ship Stephon over to Buffalo, you have to have somebody to come in. And the pick that they got, and yes, did Philadelphia make a mistake? Some people will say yes. I will always say no because that is my team. But I cannot ignore what Justin Jefferson brings to the table. That is why I say day one, he's going to line up on the right side, left side, it don't matter. And defenses beware, because this young man going to get his. I say potentially, I know there's a lot of names out there this year for Rookie of the Year, but if you sleep on Justin Jefferson, it might come back to bite you in the ass.
I wouldn't sleep on Jefferson, but to Alex's point too, I mean, just scanning through the top of my head, the corners, I mean, the Bears defense, secondary wise, I think he'll have issues, but
Amen.
I mean, the Packers,
Packers,
I like
burnt toast Packers. King, Alexander, that whole clique, that whole secondary is just basura. Jefferson's going to ease on the Packers and the Lions.
I mean, I'm just saying the Bears and the Lions are Lions. I think that, believe me, I'm with you, him having a big season. But of course, the guy that none of us mentioned, I think, and I was going to say though, my Rookie of the Year, although I mean, with Mims, I could see Jeudy being that just because of, I mean, his precision on his routes are ridiculous, man.
They are.
And in the NFL, if you're off by, if you're off by a quarter of a yard, it makes a big difference to these DBs.
Okay.
So I think that I guess I would say Jeudy would be my Rookie of the Year if I'm picking from receivers.
Gotcha.
Not that I don't think that I think he'll have a huge impact. And again, I mean, everybody always talks about route running and understanding and sitting down in zones. And I just think Jeudy can run by people but he can also sit down and make those plays. So,
all right.
But yeah, I mean,
so Mike,
I thought the Eagles were going to take him too.
Everybody did, but that's fine. We're moving on from that. So Mike, you don't have a bust because these young men have not had the opportunity to step on the field and not see what they're truly talented. Alex.
Right. But that's the thing. Right.
I have to agree with Mike. I can't really call someone a bust until I see it happen on the field. Now, if you have one or two you want to throw out there, go right ahead. But
all right, let me just say this real quick too, because I didn't say it before.
sure.
My thing with that is they're going to be used differently. So yes, some guys, might just go absolutely nuts in the system they're in, but it doesn't mean the guy that didn't have as big numbers wasn't as important to his team within what they were doing. Now, yes, it is a pass happy league, so that might sound a little crazy, but again, it's going to be different. So that's why I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to call a dude a bust if he only has, well, and there I go saying only, but if he has 550 yards and 7 touchdowns, I'm not going to call him a bust.
All right, Alex, who do you have? I'm curious.
All right. Don't call him a bust then. By the way, I'm glad you mentioned those numbers on 500 and 600 yards because that's what Jalen Reagor had last year at TCU. But I'm not going to call him a bust. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Michigan wide receiver. I don't hate this guy, but I don't like this guy. University of Michigan, playing there in the Big Ten. He wasn't bad for the Big Ten, but he was supposed to be a number one. He didn't have number one numbers overall his time at Michigan. Now, he finished his career with 103 receptions and about 1,300 yards. I think 1,325 if I'm going to be exact, because I don't want people trying to call me out. And a total of 14 touchdowns. Now, T. Higgins, finished with 28 touchdowns. Antonio Gandy Golden, who I didn't get to mention, who I said was also going to be very good, he finished with 20 touchdowns in 2 seasons, 10 per. So this guy has a total of 14 touchdowns his entire collegiate career. Did you guys ever beat Ohio State? How many times did you lose to Penn State? What happened in your bowl game? And now you land in Cleveland with OBJ and Jarvis Landry and fighting with Rashard Higgins for that number 3 spot because number 4 belongs to Callaway. Bad spot, bad placing, in between numbers as far as size and speed. You're not an elite route runner, and you're buried on the depth chart. I just feel he's going to have a hard time trying to bust out and break loose with all of those egos and all of those people who got to get fed. It's just bad for him.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So, you know what? We're going to leave it there with our wide receivers who we thought is going to step at day one. Like we said, we got the tier 1s, the tier 2s, the elite, not the elite, but, impact players, sleepers, and as Mr. Alex Fleming says, guys who are not in the best position to really elevate themselves. Can we at least say it like that? Because we ain't trying to call people bust and they ain't played yet, a la Jamarcus Russell. Anyhow, I'm going to move on from all that simply and say, gentlemen, thank you for today. This has been awesome. Michael Caratanudo, Sports Radio, NBC Sports Radio, 1060 The Sports Hangover in Arizona, ASU guy. And yes,
Devils.
He is a Cowboys fan. I will give
That's
it to
right.
him.
I'm surprised you didn't say CeeDee Lamb, Eric. I'm
Not
surprised you
doing
didn't say CeeDee Lamb.
Who's he play for? Exactly. We're moving on. I was trying to be unbiased. I kept Reagor and CeeDee out of the picture because you and I will have plenty of time to talk about those guys as the season goes on. My man Alex Fleming, Florida Sun Review, Fancy and Flavors, Buck Report contributor. Make sure you check out Alex's new show, actually also called Perspective with Alex Fleming. Your man Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. We will talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.